In a small town where everyone knew each other, Sarah had just moved into a modest house on the edge of a quiet street. It was charming, with an old oak tree in the front yard and a white picket fence. She was excited to start fresh, but there was one thing that unsettled her: the house next door, which had been abandoned for years. The windows were boarded up and weeds crawled over the yard. On her first night, Sarah noticed something strange. The neighbor's house seemed to emit a low humming sound, like a distant, mournful song. She shrugged it off, blaming it on her imagination and fatigue from moving. A few days later, while unpacking, she found an old, dusty journal hidden in a box. It belonged to the previous owner, a woman named Clara, who had written about her life in the house. The entries were mundane at first, but soon took a darker turn. Clara described hearing whispers at night, feeling watched, and seeing shadows moving behind the boarded-up windows. The final entry sent a chill down Sarah's spine. "I see her now, standing in the yard. I can't tell if she's real." That night, the humming was louder, and Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. She decided to confront her fears and took a flashlight to the neighbor's yard. As she stepped over the rusted gate, the humming grew more intense. She shone the light toward the house, revealing a figure standing just inside the darkness of the front porch. A woman in a tattered dress, her face obscured by long, unkempt hair. "Hello?" Sarah called out, her voice trembling. The figure didn't move, but the humming grew into a cacophony of whispers, as if hundreds of voices were speaking all at once. Panic surged through her. She turned to leave, but felt an icy hand grip her shoulder. She spun around to find no one there, just the empty darkness of the yard. Shaking, she ran back to her house and locked the door, trying to rationalize what had happened. Maybe it was just her mind playing tricks. But that night, the humming continued and she couldn't sleep. Days turned into weeks and the strange occurrences escalated. Sarah began to notice that things in her house moved when she wasn't looking. Her keys went missing, furniture shifted slightly, and shadows darted across her peripheral vision. The humming never stopped. It seeped into her dreams, filling them with dread. Desperate for answers, Sarah reached out to a neighbor, an elderly man who had lived in the area for decades. When she mentioned the abandoned house, his face paled. "Clara never left," he whispered. "They say she was taken by something in that house. It feeds on fear. You should never have gone in the yard." That night, she heard a loud knock at her door. Heart racing, she peered through the peephole, but no one was there. The humming was now a relentless scream, vibrating through the walls. In a fit of terror, she decided to leave and spend the night at a friend's place. As she gathered her things, she glanced out the window. There, in the yard next door, stood the woman in the tattered dress, her face finally illuminated by the moonlight. Sarah gasped. The woman looked exactly like Clara from the journal. Their eyes met, and in that moment, Sarah felt a pull, a deep, horrifying urge to join her. In a daze, she opened the door and stepped outside, the humming now a soothing lullaby. The woman beckoned her, and without thinking, Sarah walked toward her, the darkness swallowing her whole. Weeks later, the neighbors noticed a change. The abandoned house appeared more alive, lights flickered in the windows, and faint music drifted through the air. But no one ever saw Sarah again. They just heard the soft, eerie humming that now filled the nights, blending with the whispers of a woman who never left.